Ahead on Galaxy Television News, Senate rejects planned sale of Nigeria's national assets. Makes reactions to security deployment as Edo prepares for governorship election. To sport, Chipolo Polo of Zambia starts camping in preparation for Super Eagles clash. And on the international scene, at least 15 killed and 55 others wounded in a wave of deadly bombings across the Iraqi capital. Details in a moment. Good evening and thanks for joining us on Galaxy Television News. I'm Solomon Hoffem. First in the news, the Nigerian senators strongly opposed the planned sale of Nigeria's assets to shore up the nation's foreign reserves as way out of the recession. Our correspondent Tomilola Oyesomi sent in this report.
While considering the recommendations of the Senate Handheld Committee on Tuesday plenary, the senators unanimously voted that the assets should not be sold. The recommendation of the committee did not directly oppose the asset sales. The senators moved and adopted an additional prayer opposing the sale of the assets.
Bringing succor to Nigerians. In this respect, the President is urged to consider building and institutionalizing an enduring partnership with the legislature for the promotion and sustenance of good governance and economic policy formation and implementation. I thank you, Mr. President, and I thank you, my colleagues, for your attention.
The Deputy President of the Senate, Ike Ekweremadu, recommended that the nation's contract with its oil handlers, the joint venture companies and partners, JVCs, be reviewed in terms of cost of production and profit sharing.
We renegotiate the terms of engagement with our joint venture partners in relation to the production cost and profit sharing. I hope I captured in a technical manner. Peter, it should be the position to help you. Okay.
No amendment, it's straightforward.
Yes, sir.
The Senate approved the recommendation that the executive should, as matter of urgency, prepare an economic stimulus bill containing all the fiscal stimulus packages, investment and incentive designed to pull the country out of recession to the National Assembly for accelerated consideration and passage.
Prepare an economic stimulus bill. Those in favor of prayer 1, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2. Fiscal and monetary authorities must meet to harmonize policies that will lower interest rates. Those in favor of recommendation 2, say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The additional prayer will read that the Senate is not in support of the sale of the national assets. Those in favor of the additional prayer say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. And I think also democracy also is at its best. I'm sure you all know my own personal views on some of the recommendations, but I think democracy is working and we must accept that to work, and that is part of why we all subject ourselves to this. But I think at the same time, what is important is that we must all continue to monitor some of these recommendations and see that they're done. And on our own part too, we have our own recommendations that we must see that we fast track, particularly a number of bills that we need to do. Again, on the area of oversight, I think it's very important that we begin to do this regards the 2016 budget, and as we prepare for the 2017 budget as well. I think there are a lot of things we can do there that will go a long way. But generally, the message to the people, our people of Nigeria, is that we feel the pain, we understand and appreciate what everybody is going through, and we'll continue to do our best to offer ourselves service to work that we can. We believe we have the capacity as a country to get ourselves out of this recession. So I thank you all for what we've been able to contribute over the past 1 week.
Senate adjourned sitting till Thursday 29, 2016.
And now to Edo governorship election, the Nigerian police force has promised that the issue of a snatching of ballot boxes by miscreants has been taken care of ahead of tomorrow's gubernatorial election in Edo State. The Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of administration in Edo State, Emmanuel Aino, while speaking at the briefing organized for accredited observers and party agents in Benin City, said police has stepped up its operations as regard monitoring of election in the country. Correspondent Kunlojo sent in this report.
The meeting was organized to sensitize stakeholders, including accredited observers and party agents for the governorship election in Edo State, to know and understand their roles in the conduct of free and fair election.
Before now, what used to be is that because policemen are not supposed to be armed at the polling booth, the hoodlums will come, snatch the ballot boxes, and then go away scot-free. This time is not going to be like that. In each of the wards, we have 3 vehicular patrols. We are going to see it later, but we have 3 vehicular patrols made up of 7 armed men, such that within 100 or 200 meters to a polling unit, you will see a patrol vehicle who's stationed, watching and patrolling to see if anybody will want to raise his ugly head to disrupt the election.
The Assistant Commissioner of Police added that electorate and other stakeholders should therefore not leave the issue of security and the polling unit of the police alone.
But by now, the men will have been deployed, and by tomorrow morning, all the dark centers, all the registration areas must have been taken over by policemen. So that by the time they are taking the materials there tomorrow, they will meet the policemen there. So we have added deployment of, we have posting of personnel by name, GSM number, and the command of information that they come from. So that if in a polling unit, you see Mr. A there, it's not only his name that we have, we deploy him together with his phone number.
Speaking on the topic enhancing election integrity, the role of observers and party agents, the commissioner, who is also the Election and Party Monitoring Committee of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Antonia Okosi, said the success should not only be judged by its outcome, but by the integrity that pervades the electoral system. She therefore appealed to all stakeholders to collaborate with the Commission for the success of the process in Edo State.
In our electoral process, and party agents have in past elections been found to be major instruments in the perpetration of such negative acts. Party agents sometimes believe that by engaging in manipulation or disruption of the process to the advantage of their party, it is then that they best serve the purpose for which they are deployed as party agents. This is totally wrong. These are some of the factors that result in inconclusiveness of elections.
Still on the Edo election, meanwhile, with less than 24 hours to the commencement of the governorship elections in Edo State, residents of Benin City have been expressing mixed reactions on the deployment of 25,000 policemen and other security agents for the polls. Our correspondent Dele Fasson went round at the state capital of Benin, where he spoke with some residents who expressed their views on the troops' deployment.
25,000 policemen, 55,000 soldiers because of an election is something that is really amazing. Why at this age we are, people still have to prepare for election as if we are preparing for war.
Yes, I think it's enough because the state is going to be very secure during the election with the presence of those soldier men and the policemen that were drafted to the state by the federal government. And I also know that they are going to discharge their duties professionally.
Other residents who spoke said more troops should be drafted in ensuring a free and fair elections in the state.
No, for real one reason, because the 500 soldiers and the policemen they are brought here, it's not enough, because we look at local government and all the other states now, it's not enough. In those states, we need security, we need proper fair and fair election.
It's going to be very, very peaceful. And like we earlier said, soldiers, policemen and other military men have been transferred to Edo State for the sake of this election. One thing I want to tell all the masses, come out and vote. And I want to tell the candidate, let the election be free and fair, and God will help us.
Meanwhile, residents of Benin have embarked on last-minute shopping to beat the stay-at-home order of the police, as no one wants to be caught unawares during tomorrow's elections. Away from election issues now, Nigerian Communication Commission (NCC) says it will not relent to impress on the National Assembly to facilitate the provision of law to protect critical national infrastructure in Nigeria in line with its 8-point agenda. The Executive Vice Chairman of the Commission, Professor Umar Dambata, who gave the assurance at Media Interactive Session in Abuja, stressed the need to put such law in place to treat telecom infrastructure as a critical national infrastructure deserves protection in the public interest. Professor Dambata also expressed concern on the deployment of regulatory framework for broadband penetration, that the Commission has been able to articulate regulatory framework that would enable strategic and systemic licensing and deployment of broadband infrastructure across the country.
Streamline our focus in the quest to put our nation in the leg of structured telecom development that will in turn lead to social and economic development of our country. Given the consideration the telecom sector currently contributes more than 10% to the annual GDP, this is attested to by a recent report by the National Bureau of Statistics, the present economic realities has imposed on telecommunications and ICTs in general the mandate to provide some level of fortification.
The Plateau State House of Assembly has received a report from the Auditor General Local Government Audit containing 2015 transactions of the 17 local government areas of the state. This was done based on the request of the lawmakers, who said they have been receiving petitions of financial impropriety being perpetrated by the governor along appointed management committees in the state's local government areas.
You will recall that the preparation of account for the year 2015 of the 17 local government council in the state was contracted to competent audit firm.
The Speaker, after the announcement, called on the majority leader of the House, Henry Yunkwap, representing Shendam constituency, to present the report, which was subsequently committed to the House Committee on Public Accounts and Petitions for scrutiny.
In agreement with the relevant section of the law, the Auditor General has written his report on the account for the year in question. Hereby submit 10 copies of said for the necessary action.
The Committee on Public Accounts and Petitions were mandated to report back to the House its findings on Thursday, the 20th of October 2016. It's Galaxy Television News are still ahead. This time in our sports news, Chipolopolo of Zambia start camping in preparation for Super Eagles clash. Details in a moment. To sports news now, the Chipolopolo of Zambia have started preparations ahead of October 9, 2018 World Cup qualifying fixture against Nigeria. According to reports, 16 out of the 23 home-based players invited for the game reported to the team's camp on Monday and will begin full training today, Tuesday. The 7 players from Zesco United, who were kicked out of the CAF Champions League the weekend by South African champions Mamelodi Sundowns, will link up with their colleagues in camp after Wednesday's league match against Lusaka Tigers. The foreign-based professionals, led by skipper of the side Rainford Kalaba, who plays for Congo Democratic Republic outfit TP Mazembe, are expected to start arriving camp this weekend. The Super Eagles camp is also expected to open this weekend in Abuja for preparation ahead of the clash. New Super Eagles coach Janot Ra has already invited 23 players for the tie, with only centre-back Jamil Alimi and two goalkeepers, Emmanuel Daniel and Ikechukwu Ezenwa, the only home-based players in the squad. The encounter will hold at the Levi Wanyasa Stadium in Ndola. Still in our sports news, Watford fans have vented their anger on Edion Igalo following their 2-0 defeat to Burnley at Turf Moor on Monday night. A goal in each half from Jeff Hendrick and Michael Keane in the 28th and the 50th minute secured the win for Sean Dyche's men. One of the poorest performances for Watford, according to some of the fans, was Igalo, who has just one goal to his name this season and is yet to capture the form he had last season, where he was one of the league's top scorers. The fans took to Twitter to express their disappointment over the Nigeria's poor showing. And finally, on our sports news, England's Football Association is investigating allegations England manager Sam Allardyce used his role to negotiate £400,000 deal and offer advice on how to get round rules on player transfers. And the Telegraph has footage it says is from August of Allardyce's meeting men claiming to represent a Far East firm and appearing to tell them that third-party ownership rules can be avoided. The 61-year-old has yet to respond to the allegations, while the FA has asked to see the paper's filmed recordings. New chairman Greg Clark and chief executive Martin Glenn must decide whether the issue is one of poor judgment or something more serious. Allardyce was only named England boss in July, succeeding Roy Hodgson after disastrous European Championship campaign. The former Sunderland boss has been in charge for just one game. Third-party ownership of players was banned by the FA in 2008. During the meeting with the businessmen who were undercover reporters, it is alleged Allardyce said it was not a problem to bypass the rules and he knew of agents who were doing it all the time. It is further alleged by the paper that the deal was struck with the England boss worth £500,000 for him to represent the company to Far East investors and to be a keynote speaker at events. Third-party ownership, in which investment companies take a stake in the economic right of players, was described as a form of slavery by Michel Platini, the former president of European football's governing body, UEFA. World Football's governing body, FIFA, banned the practice in May last year. Time for us to go for another break. When we come back on our international scene, at least 15 killed and 55 others wounded in a wave of deadly bombings across Iraqi capitals. Don't go away. If it's just joining us, you're on to Galaxy Television and you're watching the news. Time for us to go to stories from our international scene. A series of bomb blasts has killed at least 15 people and wounded 55 others in Baghdad, according to police and medics. In the first attack on Tuesday, a lone bomber detonated himself around a gathering of construction workers on a commercial street in Jadida neighborhood in the east of the city, police officials said. At least 8 people were killed and 29 wounded in Jadida, although some said the area was hit by a roadside bomb as well as a suicide bomber. The Islamic State of Iraq and Levant, ISIL, also known as ISIS, for the attack. Another suicide bomber targeted the Bayar area in South Baghdad, killing at least 6 people and wounding 26, officials said. There were conflicting accounts of the death toll, and officials said they were likely to rise. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the second suicide attack, but ISIL frequently carries out attacks in Shia areas of the city. Tuesday's violence came 2 days after another suicide bombing killed 6 people in western Baghdad. A day before that, 12 people were killed in the area of Tikrit, a city north of the capital. And finally on the news, U.S. presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump have gone head-to-head over the issue of race the economy and foreign policy in their first televised debate ahead of November's election. Clinton accused her Republican rival of racism, sexism, and tax evasion, while Trump, a businessman making his first run for public office, repeatedly cast his opponent as a career politician and demanding that she should account for her time in government. Monday's televised face-off was the most anticipated moment in the election campaign, with both sides expecting a record-setting audience for the showdown at Hofstra University in New York. In one of the more heated exchanges, the two candidates attacked each other for the controversy Trump stoked for years over whether President Barack Obama was born in the U.S. Obama, who was born in Hawaii, released a long-form birth certificate in 2011 to put the issue to rest. Only earlier this month did Trump say publicly that he believed Obama was born in the U.S. The Republican also backed the controversial stop and frisk policing tactic as a way of bringing down crime, while the Democrats said the policy was unconstitutional and ineffective. And that ends news on Galaxy Television. Thanks for watching. I am Solomon Open. Have a beautiful Tuesday evening and join us again at 10 for our primetime news.